It feels like that all the Stetson haters have kind of like dissipated into the bushes like Homer Simpson.
Welcome to My Got a Podcast. I'm Jim Wood. In this episode, John Powell and I review number 1 Georgia's 48-7 rout of South Carolina in the SEC opener. As always, remember to check out store.mygotapodcast.com to see our latest merch, and you can follow us on social media at My Got a Podcast. Finally, we'd love for all of you to come join us at Dog Central. That's DAWGS Central.com. Now, let's join the conversation in progress. Back after another victorious
We are back.
Georgia Saturday. You've got the ambiance in the background.
I do. I decided I mowed the lawn earlier this afternoon and didn't get to enjoy my post lawn beer because I had to quickly go to the gas station to get more gas and oil for the blower that literally cut out about 2 minutes before I needed it to. And so, yeah. And then I had to come in and immediately go do dinner. But here we are. I'm in my lawn, in my driveway, enjoying my lawn. So you get the ambiance.
Nice. I mean, it's the sweet sounds of being undefeated in college football. I like it.
Yes, the soothing sounds of victory.
Well, here I'm actually gonna join you. So we're not gonna do the bourbons tonight, but
no bourbons tonight. I really had a hankering for a cold beverage. Yep. And went with the 32-ounce Stella Artois.
I see you're using the same koozie as I am, but a different color. You've got the black ATD tailgate koozie, and I have the red ATD tailgate koozie. So shout out to Greg. Thank you for the glorious koozies.
Yes. Thank you, sir.
And I've got the Creature Comforts Automatic Pale Ale. Not a sponsor yet. We really do need to talk to Matt about that, but I digress. I mean, we both predicted a big win, right? But I still feel like
pretty closely, as I recall.
Dude, you were right there. So you had. Let's jump right into that. Your score prediction was 46-9. You were only off. You had, but then the actual was 48-7. I mean, kudos. Well done, sir. Well done.
Yes, as I recall, I remember debating on whether or not we were going to shut him out, and
yeah,
dang it, we should have, Jim. I was so mad.
Yes,
someone at the TV is like, "Come on, a touchdown? Are you kidding me?"
I gotta say, even like Kim, when they scored, Kim looked at me. She was like, "It feels like we just lost."
It feels like we just lost.
So like. 3 games. We're 3 for 3. Like every game, we've reached the point where the opposing team's offense is just desperately trying to score a touchdown. Oh man!
Oh, God bless them. Moral victories.
All right, so I skipped straight to that, but so I do know, and you had an interesting viewing experience, right? I think you were basically on delay because you were at soccer all day Saturday, right?
That is correct.
Okay.
So. Carter got rostered for it was a whole rigmarole with his schedule, mostly perpetrated by the opposing team that we played today on Sunday. But anyway, we had to shuffle the schedules around, and Carter got an opportunity to play in the field for their, I guess, effectively like their third team or whatever.
Oh, that's cool though. I didn't realize he was in the field. I missed that. That's cool.
Yes. So the idea being was a little bit more stress test for his concussion protocol situation. See how it was like competition running, and just foot skills, helping him with the foot skills because he's a full-time goalkeeper on the main team. But yeah, so he had a little run out, and unfortunately, the coach told me what time it was. It was at 12 o'clock. I said,
Right.
So I turned off the notifications Saturday morning. Didn't respond to pretty much anything that happened on the onlines, on the interwebs. But yeah, lo and behold, little turd Carter gets in the car and immediately like looks at the score on my phone. I wasn't paying attention, and he had it up, and he was like, "Oh my gosh, Dad, we're," and I was like, "No, no, don't do it." And then I tried to turn the phone off. But I saw the
Uh,
score. So even though I came home and like started over, it actually made God bless my wife and daughter. They were already watching the game. It was probably like halftime or something like that. I was like, "Nope, we're starting it over. Sorry."
that's funny. That's funny.
So we started
Uh,
it over.
okay. Okay. Yeah.
It
Well,
was
and then
nothing. It
then you
was 1-0 when Carter showed me the score. Basically,
it was what was it when he showed it to you? 31 nothing.
21.
21 nothing. Okay. It was funny because then you started like you started like slowly responding to texts from like hours ago. And I was like, John, don't bother responding to these
No,
things.
I had to. It was cathartic. It's
Uh,
cathartic for me to join in because it's like, yes, that's what I was thinking. Like, oh yes, that's yes.
right, right, right.
I didn't think about that. Like,
Yeah, yeah. I'll say it was funny because like fairly early on, something happened, and I don't know if you if you responded to this one or not, but I did. I texted something like, "This is what I was worried about," and it was like their one long play, like the long pass. Who is it to Jaheim Bell over Lassiter? And because remember, like my whole like I was concerned about youth in the secondary, and like they threw over top of us last year, and
uh
they were able to do it like one time when the starters were in.
yeah,
Um,
good,
but
good
like,
pass.
but then just as you calmed me down in our preview, pointing out Kirby's faith in the youngsters, primarily Malachi Starks, he quickly erased that issue with his
Yeah,
pick.
dude. Seriously, I mean, honestly, like that play you're talking about, Lassiter actually had really good coverage. It was just a good throw, and
Yeah,
a wide receiver made a heck of a play on it. Like, I mean, he actually had pretty good coverage. I thought he did a good job, and the snap counts kind of showcase that. It's absolutely mind boggling to me that the two leaders like consistently. I mean, at least the one leader consistently in snap counts on the defense are true freshmen.
yeah,
Like,
yeah,
that's just mind boggling, and really should just like if you knew nothing about else about this team, you're like, hey, show me the snap counts for the season, and like you looked at it, and it's like, wait, you have true freshmen that are leading the way on the defense,
yeah.
and this defense is better than it was last year. Oh my god,
Right.
we're,
I,
we're all gonna die.
I I had a buddy that came over. So I did all of the things that we talked about as far as food, right? So like I
Mm.
smoked the wings. I did this the twice smoked. I actually did in various sauces. It was excellent. I made Panda's famous bean dip TM, and so Kim and I were watching the back porch. Buddy of mine, my neighbor Brian, came over and watched. And he's like not a Georgia fan. He's just a friend of mine. He likes football. Um, and like when the game was ending, like he looked at me and he was like, "Are you guys better than last year?" I was like, "I don't know. I don't know. I think it's a fair question to ask at this point. I mean,
Yeah.
through this stage of the season, at least compared to last year, it's pretty crazy."
Yeah, I mean, just from a statistical standpoint, and like not just the defense, the offense is almost historical.
Oh my gosh.
I mean,
Yeah.
Josh put those stats out. We can get to that in a minute, but like, I kind of I imagine like your conversation to with your neighbor, if he's not a Georgia fan, was probably similar to the conversation I had with my client, who's like he admitted was like, yeah, I didn't really go to a big school, like, and I'm not really like tied to any of the teams up here from a college perspective. So I think Georgia has been kind of like since I talked to you, it was like I think Georgia's been kind of my adopted team. I was like, welcome to the bandwagon, sir.
Yeah. 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 We'll,
But
we'll,
he was like, but didn't you guys lose like all these defensive players, and so you're not as good this year? And I was like, fun fact,
right?
they
Seriously.
are
Oh man.
better.
But like it's amazing because there's so many like a lot of people being hitting the freezing cold takes, right? So we had the Takeo Spikes, you know, South Carolina upset prediction from SEC Media Days was making the round.
Oh,
Um, we got that, and something that I don't remember if I heard anyone else talk about this. And I don't know. I don't think you and I even talked about it. It was actually, I think it was last weekend on like the Sunday morning SEC, whatever it's called. It's the SEC network, like, college football Sunday. It's like the recap show. And on that one, pretty sure it was Takia Spike. So the host said something to the effect of like, why doesn't Stetson Bennett get more credit for being a dual threat? And Spike said, because he's not a dual threat, he's just running for his life. I'm like, you know, just be
Bro,
careful, buddy.
tell me you don't pay attention to the game or you haven't watched the game without saying you haven't watched the game.
Yeah, exactly. And that was last weekend where like again, like that was against Sanford. Like he ran for a touchdown there. I mean, and like I feel like I guess like, we could just talk about Stetson a bit. Like Stikwavius was on full display. Like the things he was doing with his feet were incredible. Like and even like the first one that didn't count because he stepped on the sideline before he dove out of bounds. Or before he dove on the pylon. It was still an amazing play. And then when he does it later in the game, the cutback that he made when he just left the guy in the dirt was incredible.
I like to think that he learned that move from watching DeAndre Swift.
Mm. Oh. I love it. I love it. Yeah, seriously,
He was there.
it was a Swift level deadlift. I hadn't even thought about that. That's
Oh my gosh, it was a stanky leg. Like he just left him. He left that kid out to dry, dude. Like just left him for dead. Like, hey, you're dead. Sorry.
I mean, so there's like, there's that going on. Meanwhile, Stetson's also like throwing up on the field. But like, didn't, I mean, it was weird because like, when he started getting sick, I guess, like he had a couple of weird plays. Like there was one throw to Kieris where it was like at Kieris's feet. And I feel like Kieris was kind of like, what was that? But then like, for the most part, other than that, he looked fine and he was like on, but he clearly wasn't feeling good.
So I feel like that's one of those things that I either missed in the text thread catch up. I didn't see anything out about it on Twitter in my catch up or whatever, but like what happened? Like was he just gassed? I actually missed because I was fast forwarding through a lot of things.
Okay.
And I must have skipped over it.
So
Truth be told, I have not watched the replay like full bore like I would normally do because frankly,
yeah.
there's not a whole lot to talk about other than UGA good, other team bad.
So it was on it was the touchdown, I'm trying to get this right. The first touchdown pass to Brock Bowers, the one that was like the tiptoe on the sideline, that one. Stetson, like they did say something on the broadcast, like it looked like Stetson was like shook up after the play, but there was no hit. So he actually like threw up, I think, right before that play, and then also right after the play. So like throws touchdown pass to Brock Bowers, throws up in the middle of the field. So like that's what happened. And then as to why, I haven't like read anything more about it today, but I know what I heard last night was they actually think he overhydrated or something like that, and then like he got sick to his stomach, and like he just kept saying that his stomach felt hot or something, and so they did have him like he was over on the sideline like taking oxygen, like they had an oxygen mask on his
I
face.
did see that. I did see that. That's interesting. I bet the inside sources will talk about that. We need to ask Graham and those guys like, hey, what happened?
Yeah.
Get any more details? I'm sure Bulldog Brunch will probably discuss that. But if he overhydrated, I guess that makes sense and probably a little bit more context around the. I mean, not to get too detailed here for the listeners, but I mean, it looked a little watery coming out.
Yeah, agreed.
Exactly. You're like, oh wow, there goes your lunch. Like, you
Yeah.
know what I mean?
Yep. Yeah, for sure. So yeah, so that was interesting, but it's crazy that like even with that he still continued his march. I mean, I think Stetson Bennett for Heisman is a thing now. So again, on the day, this game, 16-23, 284 yards passing, 2 touchdowns. Also 3 carries for 36 yards on the ground with a touchdown. He was the leading rusher, by the way, on total yards gained. So that's interesting. I mean, it's for real. I think we can't ignore it anymore.
I mean, listen, Jim. The comparisons are starting to get a little ridiculous,
Yeah.
and it feels like that all the Stetson haters have kind of like dissipated into the bushes like Homer Simpson. I'm gonna shut up now.
Yep.
Like
Yep.
literally, you could hear a pin drop for anybody talking smack about Stetson,
Yeah.
and I love it. I love it. I love it. Love it. Except for maybe Takeo Spikes or whatever the hell his name is. Um,
Yeah.
but uh, but yeah, dude. Like, so he's getting compared to Patrick. I saw ESPN posted something about Patrick Mahomes. How like
Mm.
Stetson and Patrick Mahomes are the first two quarterbacks to have like 250 passing yards, and I don't know, something about rushing touchdowns or passing touchdowns. And
Hmm.
I mean, like I didn't. You could have said whatever stats it was, as long as Stetson was his picture was right next to Patrick Mahomes. Like, are you kidding me? We
Yeah.
have officially arrived.
Yeah.
Like Todd Monken is the goat. Um, and then the other thing was I saw someone. I think it was Josh that shared it or something like that. Like talking about the through the first four games of this year versus Bryce Young through the first four games of last year,
Yeah.
or maybe it was just through the first four games, like period. I
So
don't
that was actually so shout out. That was Evil Scott Cochran on Twitter. He posted that. So it's basically it was Stetson compared to Bryce Young since the SEC championship game,
know. Okay, that's what it
and
was.
it was like it's unbelievable. The difference is pretty nuts. So yeah, that's what that was.
Yeah, dude. If he's not, I mean, I don't know what else is going to convince people. Maybe like if he can make it through, if he can make it through another SEC game,
Hmm.
with those kind of numbers, which, I mean, he's got Brock Bowers, who's a phenomenal cheat code for anybody. Like, we finally got it, Jim. We finally got the Brock Bowers party.
Oh my gosh.
I feel like I've been looking for it all season long, and
To me, like all three of Brock's touchdowns were simply amazing, right? So you had like we already mentioned the tiptoe in the end zone. The last one, like the long run with the cutback, and him just like
it looked
leaving
like
every
Tech.
exact. Oh my gosh, I actually had that jotted down to say to you that reminded me of the Georgia Tech touchdown last year. Um,
I mean, that man, that is a large man that literally ran away from smaller guys that are recruited for speed,
yeah,
and they couldn't catch him.
it was unbelievable. And then the first one that was like a weird trick play reverse to Bowers rushing touchdown was incredible. And we had a good exchange with
Gosh.
Coach Trillville on Twitter about that because it was like right before that Stetson threw that pop pass that you were talking about in the preview where it's like the little like shovel pass almost that Kirby says counts as a running play even though it isn't or whatever. So he was like Brock Bowers with the reception that counts towards passing yards, according to Kirby, or counts as rushing yards, according to Kirby. But then the other one, but then the actual touchdown was a straight up like reverse touchdown. It was amazing.
Like, guys, this is where we're at with this offense. Todd Monken on a goal line call did a reverse with a almost sorry Carter tight end.
Dude, and it was like, how about like all the trick plays? Which, by the way, note you should subscribe to Dog Central because Graham Coffey actually dropped that. It's like in the middle of last week that Georgia was working on trick plays and to watch out for him. So there were multiple reverses. There was like a double reverse where it was like a jet sweep. It was a jet sweep to Bowers who threw it back to McConkey, and I'm pretty sure McConkey was trying to throw it, but then just took
He
off.
was going to pull up, didn't he?
Yeah, it looked like he was going to. But I mean, I don't know, like all that, pulling out all the stops, which I guess the other thing there too, like, so between that, okay, so there's three things. One, we're running trick plays. Two, we threw a touchdown pass from Carson back to Delp late in the game, and like Delp was heavily recruited by South Carolina, and a lot of them thought he was going there. So that was totally salt in the wound
That
to
was
have
a
that.
that was a hard dunk.
That was a dunk, and then Kirby's FDMF, as Josh Dog Stats is now calling it, when he said first down, mother, sorry Carter, which is a great GIF material, and like between all of that stuff, I mean, it's like what's going on with Kirby and Shane Beamer, which again, there are some details on the Dog Central forum that we won't relay here, but like that was all pretty, I think, telling.
Yes, if we were treated with the antithesis of the Samford game. So in the Samford game,
Yes.
we talked about how we didn't think that Kirby and Chris Hatcher were that he wasn't going to do Chris that way, and then we got to Beamer, and while I frankly think that he didn't do it as bad, although, and I also think that Beamer probably earned himself a little bit of credit with Kirby because.
Mm-hmm.
He had it on the goal. He could have kicked a field goal to break up the shutout early on, but instead he went for it, and they turnover on downs.
Yep.
And then we wet the bed and couldn't move the ball, to get them out of their territory.
Oh, that was you're talking about the Tresman Marshall had a pick, and he had like a diving interception, but then we couldn't
Then we couldn't do
do
anything.
Thorson had a great punt though out of the end zone.
Yeah, exactly. Then they came and scored. So
Yeah. Again, like we said, actually, shout out David Lee. He sent me a message right after that. He was like, "It doesn't count in garbage time."
It doesn't count. Seriously, like I challenge anybody in the fandom to name like 5 players that were out there.
Right. So let's see. I mean, some other things. So I've got a question. Actually, let me talk about like one thing that I was impressed by with South Carolina was their fake punt. I do have to give credit to that. That was an amazing fake punt.
So the punter had a better pass play than Spencer Rattler did.
That's what I'm saying, dude. He looked off the safety. It was incredible.
He looked off the safety. It was insane. Yeah. Dude, like that was so crazy. And frankly, like I wonder, like if Nick Saban or others were looking at that play and being like, that's something that we could probably exploit. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah.
And then on the flip side of that, we talked about the trick plays. I didn't get to mention this, but talking about the trick plays, like I almost, to a certain extent, feel like that. On the one hand, you're like, why did you show your hand on any of the trick plays you've been working on? Number one, like practice. Number two, you show them something to get them thinking about formations and movements and things like that down the road.
Yep.
So you can exploit that anticipation and change it up into something different.
Yeah, I guarantee you we're going to see formations, motions, beginning of the plays look exactly like what we did on those trick plays, but then we're not doing it the same thing, right? Like the play starts the same and then it changes somewhere. Totally. Yeah. I do have a question for you, something that I felt like, so, Ladd was playing with turf toe. Like Ladd, we had caught wind of his injury last week. Like, did he look a little bit slower to you, or is that just me? And I don't know, like I know you kind of watching replay, but
I would say he probably looked a little bit slower, but
okay.
Yeah. I mean, I would say he looked like he lost maybe a little bit of a step, but I don't think it was enough to. I don't think it's enough to smash that panic button. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, I mean, we made it. Hey, how will Georgia's offense function without AD Mitchell? And hey, you know what? We have backup wide receivers that can play. Unlike some other schools. So that was good to see. And we saw right, like we saw a lot. So we saw some Dylan Bell again. Rosemary Jack Saint looked good again. Blaylock caught a pass, right? That was good to see Dom Blaylock out there. Kieris was a captain, and like I feel like he just kind of came out because like they kind of pulled everyone out. I will say, like on the first play of the game, actually, I think if Stetson led Kieris, I think he scores on the first play of the game. But I mean, not that it really mattered. But I mean, all that happened. We saw Cash Jones at the end of the game.
Yeah, we
All,
had
all namer.
Brendan Douglas.
But yeah, but I mean, Stetson, we talked about it earlier, but like he was spreading the ball around. I think we had 11 receivers catch a pass on Saturday. So just unbelievable.
Just a phenomenal game. Let me ask you something, Jim. Did you, from an offensive perspective, did you see any of what I was talking about with the running backs going down on initial contact?
Mm. Yes. So I definitely saw it. I would say I saw it more with Kendall than Kenny. I'm trying to remember. I noticed it more with Kendall Milton for sure. And he looked hesitant to me. I mean, he had a nice touchdown run and he had a great reception, but on that long reception is where I saw what you were talking about. Like, I feel like probably could have scored, but sorry. What were you
Is
going to
that
say?
the one? Is that the one where he was on the sideline and had the defensive back one on one?
Yes, that one.
Okay, so I do have some I wonder if they go back and look at the film with him
Hmm.
and say like, hey, if you're in this situation again, like if he
Yeah.
had just cut inside, and maybe it's the knee, maybe it's not, I don't know, but like had he cut inside, I do think he scores. Like
Yeah.
the physics there is like the defensive back was completely crashing down on him. Had he just like just a little pause to go inside, full speed, full cut, and you're gone, almost like a DeAndre Swift kind of situation.
Yeah, there was also a play. Like I said, I have not fully rewatched the game, but there was definitely one where it was a running play to the left. I don't know if it was a toss sweep specifically or anything, but like it was one of those ones where he just he waited and waited, and then he finally like kind of cut it up, and it just didn't work very well. So I don't know. He doesn't look like his old self just yet. So I don't know. I mean, he had the injury in the preseason, right? So he had the hamstring, pulled his hamstring, missed some practice. Maybe he's still just getting back into the thick of things. But as we have seen right now, like I kind of want to see our guy Dejon Edwards. I want to see what he can do.
I'm glad you mentioned that, Jim, because that's where I was going with
Okay.
this. Was that so? While I did see that with Kenny and with Kendall, and have seen it throughout the season, because they've gotten the lion's share of the carries. In my opinion, I believe that Dejan Edwards has earned the right to get more snaps in running positions.
Yeah.
Frankly, he looked really good out of the backfield too, because I saw him catching some passes, things like that. But he was creating yards after contact. And so that
Yeah.
to me is a huge deal when you start talking about, okay, when is this team going to get challenged? And at some point, I don't want to be alarmist, but there are a couple of plays. Like for instance, I'll give you for instance, it was like, oh my God, if he does that against Alabama, it's a pick six.
Hmm.
You remember the lofted pass that he had where he like basically threw it straight up in the air? I
Yes.
mean, Stetson is good for one bonehead play, at least one bonehead play a game. And
Yeah.
we've seen it every single game, whether it's a pass to someone's feet or it's like an overthrow or a lob pass, like you're shooting a 3-pointer to
Yeah.
the running back. If you do that kind of thing against an athletic like Will Anderson or something like that that's on the defensive line, he may just jump up and catch that ball and take it in for 6. I think that was just a little ridiculous in my opinion, but
I wonder if he had been like watching old Brett Favre highlights or something, because that's something that Favre used to do, was like throw that super high balloon ball. I know,
well,
I know exactly what you're talking about.
we have talked about this, that it's one of those things, and he has had a few of these this season, like the scramble. I think it was against Oregon where he like should have been tackled but wasn't, and then eventually like just threw up a donut for Lad McConkey to grab wide
Yeah,
open in the like any other play, and that's probably like he's getting sacked or throwing an interception or something like that.
mm.
But like he's had stuff like that where it's like, man, that turned out fantastic, and we give him the descriptor moxie. He's got a little moxie in him, or he's a
Yeah,
gunslinger. He's a
yes,
gunslinger.
Yes.
but like frankly, it was probably ill advised or something like that. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
I would say watch that space because and I say all that it was a very long winded way of saying like at some point you feel like that we may come up against a defense, and whether it's in the SEC championship game, which by and large seems like that we should be favored in pretty much every game that we're going to play the rest of the season until you get to the SEC championship. Although I would say that
Mhm.
if things keep panning out, we probably will be favored by a couple of touchdowns in the SEC championship. Wouldn't surprise me at all. Um, where they do shut us down, and we have to run the ball. When we have to run the ball, what are we going to do? And I'm not super convinced in the running game, but maybe it's because we've just seen so much power and firepower from Stetson, and we're a pass first offense now, and
Yeah.
Kirby's basically fully turned the corner.
Well, what we're going to do when we have to run the football is we're going to throw the football, but in plays that Kirby says are run plays.
Right. Well, what we'll do is we'll just hand it off to all the tight ends, and then we'll score.
Yeah, we'll just run another jet sweep to Brock Bowers. I mean,
Yeah, seriously.
that's what works.
Can Brock play running back?
I mean, he could. I'm fairly confident that Brock Bowers could play tailback. Uh,
Yeah.
I mean, like in the '80s or even '90s, you're telling me Brock Bowers can't play tailback? Come on.
Yeah, seriously.
Oh man, what a. Let's see. Oh, okay. So one other thing that happened that I thought was kind of funny, and I don't you may have missed this. So the Georgia's last score of the game, the last field goal, they actually let like Jared Zirkle kick a field goal, and the official Georgia football Twitter account like tweeted, jackpot tax on three more or something like that. It was like, wrong kicker. They had to delete the tweet and then tweet out again and change the kicker. Like we were scoring so many points that the official Twitter account like got the wrong field goal kicker. It was one of those days. It was amazing.
Right. That's crazy. I didn't know that.
Yeah. So that happened. I think they deleted it. That and then also just like I was dying laughing at the sheer volume of people that tweeted and tagged the podcast account when Kirby had his celebration for turnover on downs on the fourth down stop and signaling first down and saying things that would cause us to say sorry Carter. I was cracking up. So we're not always able to do that, but since I was not at the game and I was sitting there at home, I actually was able to like in game turn that into a GIF. So that worked. I did have to run and go grab my laptop to be able to make that in game.
I was about to say you gotta get the raw video. Like when you
Yeah,
take a GIF of just the TV screen, it's not the same at all.
yeah. So I had to run inside, grab my laptop, and do a little a little bit. But the way the game was going, I had plenty of time. It was fine. So what else you
Good
got?
times.
You got anything else on this one?
No, I would say that the only thing that I want to add is Josh Dogstats over at Dog Central put together a wonderful stats breakdown, which really kind of underscores just how dominant this game was. The success rate versus a SEC foe was 73%.
Hmm.
And I think that he had mentioned that it was like basically like the second most dominant like offensive performance in this last like century or something like that against a Power Five opponent. So like,
Unbelievable.
yeah. I mean, we were averaging 8.7 yards per play, 73% success rate, and like, I mean, yeah, we talked about this at the beginning of the season. And we had I felt like we had the potential for putting up some numbers that would rival the 2019 LSU,
Hmm.
and that was one of the best offenses in the history of college football, and here we are. We're pretty much on par with them in 2020 Alabama.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, and all that under the umbrella of, oh yeah, poor Georgia. They had to replace 15 starters on defense or whatever.
Right. Yeah. I mean, that's the thing is like, in this preseason, we heard Nick Saban talk about the fact that last year was actually a rebuilding year. But apparently at Georgia, we don't rebuild; we just reload.
Yeah, yeah. We'll see. We'll see what happens with them. Maybe they'll start clicking, but it's not looking so good. Speaking of, like, can we talk about like how much? I think someone in the text thread had mentioned it. Like Alabama put up like I think it was Graham or something like that. Put up like 600 something yards of offense, and
Mm.
Jermaine Burton had one catch for like 16 yards. Like,
Yeah, I don't know what's going on there. I actually
what?
texted a buddy of mine to ask him about that, and he said he's not worried about it. He said that like that game yesterday was kind of crazy. Like they had like I think they had like multiple special teams touchdowns or something. But yeah, I don't know. It's kind of weird. It's definitely kind of weird. I mean, you left supposedly he left Georgia to get more touches, and not exactly happening.
Yeah, seriously.
It was there were a couple of I gotta get at least quick shout out for App State because I got a good buddy that went to App State, and that was a fun early evening thing. And as someone who lives in North Carolina now, that was pretty cool to see their Hail Mary work out. Especially it would stink for them to like lose when they have game day there. So,
Dude, that
yeah,
was
that's pretty awesome.
insane. It
Yeah,
was so ridiculous.
yeah. After coming out of like a lull, right? I mean, all the early games are blowouts. Like all the 12 o'clock games are pretty much all blowouts. Um,
Yeah.
that was a good one. There were some good late night games, but that was cool. That was good. So shout out App State. That was fun. That was fun.
Jermaine Burton so far this season has 8 receptions for 61 yards and 2 touchdowns.
Wow. I think those two touchdowns were both in the first game. I believe. I could be wrong,
Mm-hmm.
but yeah. I mean, I don't get it.
I want to point out that Jermaine Burton's highlights on ESPN are all UGA highlights.
That's funny. That's funny. Oh man. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. Grass isn't always greener, I guess.
Grass isn't always greener, bro.
Whew. Well, oh man. I mean, 3-0 in epic fashion. It was a good weekend. Carter got to play in the field in soccer. That's
Carter
awesome.
got to play in field. We got our butts whooped. Although in his defense,
Mm.
the team that they played was the same team that his first team played in a tournament
Uh,
preseason. So like
gotcha.
the
Yeah.
team, they're pretty competitive. Basically, they're pretty good. They're a pretty good team, and they were playing our third team, and they got walloped.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, I mean, you would expect them to, right?
Well, we got clobbered,
Oh,
to quote the old ball coach
right.
from
Yeah, seriously.
a
Seriously.
similar situation.
Seriously. Well, yeah, which was also Shea Beamer yesterday. Okay, I almost tried to wrap up without bringing up a very important point that someone is catching up in the Coach Tribbles over unders. I went 7-1 this week, and you were 500, 4-4 on coaches over unders. So now you're only up on me by one. So you still lead on the season 15-9, but I'm 14-10 on the
I,
over unders. So
I
I made some
demand I demand a recount. I demand a recount.
I made some serious headway.
Their ballots dropped off at midnight.
Uh, one of the big differences was the over under on turnovers. I got that one right. So
Oh man, yeah, that was a good one.
oh man, good stuff. Although apparently judging by the way Coach scored the over unders, I guess there were not any references of Cot Commander on the broadcast. Apparently, because that's what I predicted, and I got that one right. So
I didn't. In my defense, I did not even watch. I was fast forwarding through everything just to try to catch up.
so my thing, I like yelled at the TV when they showed the official Gamecock. I was like, wait a minute, it looks like they did clip the comb, which was the whole what the controversy was about. So I don't know, unless I don't know what the comb is on the chicken's head. Who knows?
Yeah,
So
whatever.
eh,
Poor
crazy.
chickens. I ended up having fried chicken for what it's worth.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, that was after the soccer game. I was like, yeah, we don't have the stuff for the white chicken chili like I thought we did,
Right.
and I ended up just stopping at Kroger and getting some fried chicken.
Gotcha. Well, that's always good. Nothing wrong with that.
It was so good. Put it on a salad. It was money.
Nice. And see, and then that way you made it healthy. It was a
I
healthy
did
fried
make it
chicken.
healthy. I did make it healthy. And I did the pregame run before Carter's soccer game too. So
Oh, we did all the things. Oh, dude, I was running around like you know how I said I like to make the time go by, so
hmm
I don't get nervous. Like I was like running around like crazy right until the last minute. Like I mowed the lawn, I was getting the big green egg ready, getting my multi TV set up, and then like I had like the wings on the smoker, and then I showered while they were smoking, and then came back and finished them off. And then everything was and I made the bean dip, and like so like, everything was ready like right to kick off. It was amazing.
so you did the Pandas bean dip smoke.
No, no, I made the bean
Okay.
dip separate. Yeah, so I,
Okay.
I made the bean dip up. I think like while the big green egg was heating up, and I seasoned all my wings during that time frame, and then I
What sauce
very
did you
like
go with?
very just in time processing. What did I go with?
Which flavor did you go with on the wings?
Oh, so I did three. So I did some kind of like naked wing basically for Lily. It was just like salt and pepper, but then I smoked them. But for the rest of them, I do. What is the rub? So I used bone sucking sauce rub, and then so I smoked them in that, and then I took them out. And I did the first batch was in just Sweet Baby Ray's barbecue sauce, so a little sweet, and the second batch was in Chipotle Tabasco sauce, and then the third batch was it's called JB's Best Hot Sauce. It's something that my dad found years ago. It's very good. So those that was the more buffalo ish. But like I said, I use the same bowl. I'm always stirring them in the same bowl. So that last batch has kind of all three sauces in it. It's very good.
Oh, nice. You sound like the efficient dad that I am. Minimal bowls to wash.
Yeah, yeah, it's good, man. But then they kind of pick up all the flavors, because they all mix together.
That's
Um,
true.
and that last batch had like the two different hot sauces, so they were very good. So I
Mm.
set them out like mild to hot in a little. I put a picture out of it. I found an old it's like a football dish, like in the shape of a football. And like when I got that out, the kids were like, "Where did that come from?" I've never seen that plate ever. So it was good.
It was probably in the basement, kids, because
Yeah.
dad's a hoarder.
Yeah. No, it was in. It was. I know where it lives. I guess I just don't use it very often. All right.
Fun times.
It was good. It was good.
And as of recording, we may or may not have a new coach on the flats.
Oh, really?
Have you not seen that like banter back and forth about the is he out or isn't he? Like what's going on with the tech coach?
Oh, maybe he's just doing push-ups. I don't know. You on the sideline.
Maybe he is, but not this week because he got a big giant donut.
Yeah. Congratulations, Hunter. That was fun to watch.
Yeah, seriously.
All right, man. Go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say like we got Herm Edwards out, you got Scott Frost out, Brian Harrison apparently is also kind of in the is
Oh,
kind of also in
Auburn Harson.
some of
Yeah.
these mentions. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Hey,
And Jeff Collins. We're 4 games in this season and we're already talking about coaches getting fired.
hey.
Golly, what a
I'm going to tell you what Mark Rick told me. It's a tough business. Tough business.
it is a tough business.
All right, man. Well, this was fun. This was fun to recap another lopsided victory like this. I rather enjoyed the game. We will be back later this week to preview the game against Kent State and with a special guest. So I'll go ahead and tease that.
Tease the special guest. Do we give any hints? Do we give any hints to the listeners?
Ooh. Sure. Can you give one? Or do you have a hint?
I don't know. I feel like I could give some hints, but I don't know. He's a big Manchester United fan. I'll just say that.
Ooh, that's a good one. I like that. That's a good one. That's a good tease.
For those of you that are paying attention at home, that's a pretty easy layup.
That's good. Awesome. Well, hey, I'm looking forward to talking to you again. Well, it'll be tomorrow night for us. There'll probably be a couple of days between episodes for listeners, but looking forward to talking to you and our guest to take a look at the whatever they are, the golden flashes, I believe, of Kent
The
State.
Golden Flashes? Is that really what they are?
I think so. I don't know. Actually, maybe I should take that out because that's like a fun fact. I just wasted a fun fact.
Ah, you lost. I believe you're right.
I think I'm right.
Yeah. Cool, man. We got some action. Let's go.
That's right. Let's do it.
All right, man. Go Dogs.
Go Dogs.